I'm Evie, and welcome back to the second year of CloverClan. This is the second part of the series, and a playlist will be linked below if you want to see the first episode, as well as all future episodes in order. First off, I just want to thank everyone who watched the first episode, liked it, and subscribed to the channel, and especially everyone who left such kind comments on the video. It is the most motivating thing for me, and really inspired me to work on this episode as well as planning for the future. As always, this video will describe violence typical to warrior cats, so please click away now if you're uncomfortable with that. I will warn if there are images featuring blood or such things, but I will not have individual warnings before I speak about it, so watch at your own discretion. We actually have apprentices this year, and we also have kits. But before you find out whose they are, we sadly also have deaths, so let's start off with the CloverClan cats. We went almost the whole year without having any deaths, but then unfortunately Holly Dream died on Moon 20 after getting murdered by Colin's group of rogues. I actually created a new clan just to get some names and appearances for Colin's rogues, and life is unfair because they're all so pretty, but oh well. Before her death, Holly Dream seemed to be trying really hard to make some friends within the clan. She was challenging Cicada Mark to tongue twisters and was looking for Otter Rumble at some point. She also spent an evening entertaining the clan with a story of the thieving fox, and I feel so bad. She was trying so hard to fit in. She was also out on a patrol with Crunchy when they found a former kitty pet and invited her in, so you'll be seeing her later. Unfortunately, next up in StarClan is someone way too young to be there, as the next one to die this year was the 3-moon-old Jasmine Kit. She was an unruly kid with an active imagination, and she's actually one of the children of Rootstar and Smokesnow who got together this year. We'll get more into them later, but they were on a walk when they found a litter of 4 kits with their mother nowhere in sight, presumably killed by Colin's rogues, as no one would leave kits this young alone for long. They took the kits back to camp and adopted them. Unfortunately, only 2 months later, Jasmine Kit got kitten cough, and only a moon later died from it. I did check her files, and her warrior name would have been Jasmine Skip, and man, I'm so sad, she deserved to grow up. The last cat to die this year was unfortunately Gravel Goat, who died at 130 moons old on the very last moon of the year due to an infection in a broken leg. Before that, he had quite the year because he actually got together with Cicada Mark, and actually also adopted kits this year. He sadly died the very same moon as his kits became apprentices, after having been a den dad for them since he actually retired to the Elder's Den only 2 moons prior. But he is definitely watching over them in StarClan and is very proud of each of them. Moving on to our living cats, Rootstar is actually in the nursery caring for the remainder of his kits, so first up we have Smokesnow, who is now 74 moons old. He and Rootstar actually got together on the very first moon of the year, and despite their age difference, I've decided that a cat over 30 moons old is old enough to make their own decisions about who they date, and these two seem very happy together, so I don't think we have a problem there. He also slipped on some rocks and sprained his paw this year, but it healed fast, and he hoped that Rootstar notices his improvement with his confidence, which makes me very happy. He chased a kitty pet off the territory and wished he would have wings so he could catch birds easier, which... oh my heart. Smokesnow, please never change, I love you. After Jasmine Kit died, he helped bury her and left her favorite prey at her grave, and yeah, sure, I wasn't broken-hearted enough over Jasmine Kit already. Next up we have Whisperfluff, who's also not doing good. Being 112 moons old now, she actually became somewhat friends with Holly Dream this year, and as of the cutoff of the year she is still grieving for her friend's death, as well as Jasmine Kit and Gravel Goat also dying in such quick succession. Before that, she forbade anyone from disturbing her from working, but Batstripe disturbed her anyway, and I thought that was so funny. She also traveled to the other clans to bring them an important message, possibly about Colin. Halfway through the year, she dislocated a joint, and once she recovered from that, she immediately got a running nose. And I kid you not, the same moon the running nose healed, Holly Dream died. Absolutely 0 breaks for this poor girl, she needs an apprentice. Since Gravel Goat died and Batstripe retired, our oldest warrior is now Cicada Mark at 123 moons old, and oh boy, he's not having a blast either. Can we have some joy in this clan? At the very start of the year, he actually had pretty intense crushes on both Morning Fur and Gravel Goat, so I spun a wheel, and he's omnisexual now. His crush on Morning Fur faded quickly though, and Gravel Goat also had feelings for him, so to the surprise of apparently no one in the clan, they got together just a couple moons later. 3 moons from that, and he found a litter of 3 kits just outside clan territory, and brought them back to be raised by him and Gravel Goat. That's about the only happy thing that happened to Cicada Mark this year. I swear, death follows this poor boy like a plague. He was barely done grieving Holly Dream after her death when he was on a patrol with a new warrior that you'll meet later, and discovered the mauled body of a kitty pet who seemingly got abandoned on a thunder path by his 2 legs. Only a moon later, on the very last moon of the year, Gravel Goat died, and currently Cicada Mark refuses to even leave his nest and is barely eating. I really hope his next year is better, he deserves so much better. Next up, we have the 110-moon-old Crunchy. She also had a crush at the start of the year, on Batstripe actually, but that never went anywhere, which makes sense to me because I haven't really seen any significant interactions between them. Maybe Crunchy just develops crushes easily, who knows? She was on patrol with Holy Dream when they found a loner who wished to join the clan, and they took the loner to Rootstar who accepted. She was later on patrol again with Holly Dream and the aforementioned loner when they came across some mountain goats, and tell me why it never occurred to me that there are mountains on their territory? Well, good to know, I guess. When the patrol walked back to camp, they were playfully headbutting each other, mimicking the goats. However, when Holly Dream died, Crunchy felt nothing but scorn. What? I genuinely thought they were good friends. The next moon she was also talking far too loud around a grieving clan, making it absolutely clear that Holly Dream's death didn't faze her one bit. No idea what happened there, Crunchy, what the hell? She did also get an apprentice on the very last moon of the year, so it seems Rootstar isn't too concerned, although I would be. Anyway, next up we have Morningfur, who is now 96 moons old, and before anyone gets concerned, she is still together with Otterrumble. Otterrumble's just in the Elder's Den now, so I elected not to draw them together to not completely mess up the order. Let me know if you'd rather I always draw couples together, no matter their ranks. I'm still not completely decided. Morningfur didn't get up to too much this year. She was wondering if Butterfly Bounce misses her warrior days, and then she had a prophetic dream of a battle won, the love between friends, and grief's sharp impact. Having played the next year, I know what this prophecy means, and altered it a bit to fit better. And it's interesting that it was specifically Morningfur that had this dream instead of Whisperfluff. Apart from that, she just caught White Cough in Leaffall, but recovered from it fast, and it didn't manage to spread. And she also got an apprentice in the very last moon of the year. Next up, we have that new member I've been teasing, as well as the younger warrior in the clan, but not for long. Yes, we only have 4 warriors now. Yes, it's a slight problem. This is Blue Rain. Her former name is Quartermaster. She is 79 moons old, grumpy, and a great teacher. As mentioned earlier, she was found by Holly Dream and Crunchy wanting to join the clan, and the moon after she joined, she was immediately seen playing with a kitty pet over the border. I imagine Rootstar gave her a strict talking to about the warrior code and how she needs to respect it if she wishes to stay in CloverClan. She seemed to take it to heart, because a couple moons later she saw a Mulberry Clan cat named Liar Whisker stealing prey from CloverClan's side of the border, and immediately reported it to Rootstar. After that, she seems to be settling into clan life just as any other cat, and seems to be making friends as well. Since we only have 4 warriors this year, we are now moving on to the apprentices, starting off with Ghostpaw and Freezepaw. They also have a sister, Finchpaw, but I'll talk about her separately. This trio is now 6 moons old and just started their apprenticeship, and they are Cicada Mark and Gravel Goat's adopted children. Starting with Ghostpaw, he is insecure, a picky nest builder, and quick-witted, and is Crunchy's apprentice. He was a self-conscious kid, which clearly followed him into his apprenticeship, and I think it may have stemmed from Freezepaw being a lot more confident than he is, although these two still have a very close bond. As you can see, they are also nearly identical, and they are actually completely identical in-game, which I find very endearing. Ghostpaw was learning how to use his claws as a kid, and when he was made apprentice, caught a large rat on his very first patrol out with Crunchy, despite still grieving for Gravel Goat, who died earlier that moon. Freezepaw is a childish apprentice and a careful listener, and he is Morningfur's apprentice. He was an unruly kid, but calmed down a little bit when he was named an apprentice. On his first patrol, he found a Teasel clan scent trail, but unfortunately, as it was raining quite heavily, he wasn't able to follow it despite Morningfur's help. Finchpaw is lonesome and oddly observant, and she is Rootstar's apprentice. She was a shy kid and often stayed to the sidelines while her brothers were tussling in the clearing, and isn't as bonded to them as they are to each other. Instead, she was asking older cats how kits were born, and presumably got nipped on the rump by an elder for bugging them with such questions. When Gravel Goat died, she couldn't stop coming to tears every time he was mentioned. On her first patrol out with Rootstar, she confessed that she hadn't been able to sleep very well because her dreams were filled with shadows and images. Sandleap was also judging her the same moon, and maybe this means she was meant to be a medicine cat instead. Moving right along, Rootstar is actually a den dad now at 114 moons old, caring for his and Smokesnow's adopted children. Before that, he was thinking about battle strategies and pinned his ears at a Mulberry Clan patrol. With Holly Dream's death, he declared that no cat is to go outside alone anymore due to the increasing boldness of Colin's rogue group. When Jasmine Kit died, he tagged along with Whisperfluff to go tend to the graveyard, but ended up just sitting at Jasmine Kit's grave the whole time. I am just now writing this realizing that I gave him an apprentice while he was supposed to be a den dad for his kits, so him and Smokesnow are taking turns now. Speaking of the kits, they are currently 4 moons old. Buzzard Kit is a charming kit and a good listener. Being a kit, she didn't really do much this year, but it seems she has a really great bond with her siblings, as they were doing stuff together quite a bit. Freckle Kit is a fearless and oddly observant kit, and when he was first brought to camp, he was hissing at all the new smells, which I found adorable. On the last moon of the year, he was also giving some very serious advice to Rootstar. Last but not least, Tuft Kit is a charming kit like her sister, as well as confident with words. I am choosing to interpret this as her absolutely not being concerned to say exactly what she thinks, and honestly, we love her for that. But hopefully she learns a filter before she goes too far. Finally, we have the Elders. Butterfly Bounce is still kicking at 142 moons old, and she was feeling sassy at the start of the year. On the moon that Rootstar gave a talking to Blue Rain, Butterfly Bounce was privately thinking Rootstar could be leading the clan better, which I think means that she thought the situation could have been differently handled. I don't know if she thinks Blue Rain shouldn't have been let in to begin with, or should have had a worse punishment for playing with the kitty pet, but she never voiced these thoughts. When Holly Dream died, she gave a badger ride to the kits to distract them from the grieving clan. She also took a nap in the clearing and woke up under a blanket of snow, which probably did not help her joint pains. At the end of the year, she brought Smoke Snow some herbs from the medicine den when his coughing gave him a headache. Moving on to a new face in the Elder's Den, Batstripe retired this year and is now 126 moons. At the start of the year, he was bugging Whisperfluff when she specifically asked to be left alone, but I think it was more playful than anything, as they have quite a good relationship with each other. On the same moon, he also thought Rootstar is a good singer? I mean, good to know, but what? But he also apparently insulted Smoke Snow's skills as deputy. A bit later, he had a mock battle with Morningfur, which he presumably lost, as the very next moon he ended up retiring to the Elders Den at 118 moons old. Only a moon later, he was dreading the worst-case scenario, but nothing happened for a good few moons, so don't know what that was about. I couldn't find a single thing that could have justified that. He was quite rocked with the loss of Holly Dream and had to be ushered back to his den after her vigil. And for our last cat, we have the now 125-moon-old Otter Rumble. At the start of the year, she was cloud watching and ended up slipping on a rock and dislocating her leg as she wasn't looking where she was going. Her leg took quite a bit to heal due to her age, and right after it healed, she was loitering around the SpindleClan border, looking for a specific cat. But I couldn't connect who that could have been. She ended up joining the Elders Den at 119 moons old, and is now having a blast telling stories to the children, as well as bantering with Butterfly Bounce and Batstripe. Moving on to our quick check of the other clans, starting with the leaders. The leaders are nearly the same as last year. Primrose Star is developing a possible crush on one of her clanmates, and that was pretty much her whole year. But she also did catch White Cough and saw one of her former classmates named Bleakbee in a dream while she was sick. Bleakbee was the SpindleClan cat that was murdered by Colin's rogues last year. Partridge Star is conflicted as one of his warriors also died this year, and a rumor spread quickly that Partridge Star's crush was actually the one that killed her. He ended up having no choice but to exile the guilty Chaffinch Spot, who did not survive alone for long and now resides in the Dark Forest. Also, Partridge Star is quite the grandpa already at 143 moons old, and honestly I don't know how many more years of leadership he has in him despite still having 8 lives. Mulberry Clan's Volstar didn't really get up to much. His only significant status this year was about how his deputy is faring with her pregnancy alongside her duties, so there's that. However, Dostar from Brush Clan was actually killed over and over by a pack of dogs until he had no more lives left, and one of his clanmates simply stood by, watching it happen. Dostar's death means that we now have Logstar in Brush Clan, and I hope he does well. Moving on to the deputies, in Spindle Clan a patrol was attacked by Colin's rogues, and that patrol included Little J, who was sadly killed in the ordeal, much to the dismay of Sharphaze, as you can imagine. Primrose Star chose the sole survivor of the ambush as her next deputy, and therefore we now have the charismatic Spot Ember. She is actually the first cat in the clans to hold a leadership position who wasn't already a warrior at the start of the series, so that's fun. She can also apparently spin up a thrilling ghost story. Strawchest also died when he was on his way back from informing the other clans about Chaffinch Spot's treachery, presumably once again killed by Colin's rogue group. Teasel Clan's new deputy is the bold Owl Shimmer, who also concerningly has a deep dark forest bond? But he also came out as a trans male at the end of this year. Apart from Smoke Snow, Beaver Rush is the only deputy who was also here last year, although she is technically currently in the nursery caring for her 2 kits. She first rejected Frostbots, but a few moons later ended up asking him out herself, so now the 2 are mates. Glad at least someone is having a good time in these cursed clans. Logstar picked the arrogant Wheatstripe for his deputy, and so far he has been doing alright. He also had 2 kits with his mate Verbena Stripe, and I like this stripe duo. For our medicine cats, not too much has changed. Sharphaze of Spindle Clan got the confident Wolfpaw as her apprentice, and he picked a red poppy to adorn his pelt as celebration for becoming a medicine cat apprentice. He does also have a weak leg, but it's not the reason he became a medicine cat. He was just genuinely interested, and Sharphaze likes having him around, especially after Little J's death, which hit her really hard, especially as the 2 had just adopted a litter of 2 abandoned kits. Snowy Trail and Bounce Rise have had a relatively calm year despite the turbulence in the clans. Snowy Trail has gotten some nightmares after Chaffinch Spot's betrayal and Strawchest's death, and has been taking some poppy seeds to help him sleep. Bounce Rise also took a mate this year, and I officially decreed that Little Jay's death was the trigger that made the leaders agree to change the warrior code and allow medicine cats to have mates, as the heart cannot really be controlled, and to deny a medicine cat love is to deny an instinct. Little Shadowpaw is all grown up now and received her full name, Shadow Squid. Because of her lack of a mentor, Whisperfluff agreed to conduct the naming ceremony for her, but StarClan has still been angry and disappointed with Shadow Squid this year. However, Shadow Squid must have learned well despite her lack of a mentor, because she is now an excellent teacher herself. She also has little half-siblings, with Frotspots having new kits with Beaver Rush. Scale, on the other hand, has not had such a great year, as both Waterprickle and 2 of his kits died this year. Waterprickle died of an infection in his broken leg that he and Scale both failed to treat. About halfway through the year, Scale was wondering if BrushClan is truly where he belongs, when he has faced so much misfortune living here, but he has not chosen to leave yet. Perhaps leaving BrushClan completely without a medicine cat is a thought he cannot bear. And we have a mediator this year! Stempelt of SpindleClan has been wondering about the meaninglessness of battles between the clans for a good while now, and on multiple separate moons this year she was wondering about whether it was too late to become a mediator. Long story short, I allowed her to switch over, and now I have even more to draw. Thanks, Stempelt. Quite a lot happened this year. I am mostly happy we now have young cats in the clan, so it's not in constant danger of just dying off, but the rogues are getting bolder and bolder. Starting next year, I fed my hyperfixation and created a somewhat realistic genetic system to decide the different non-color traits that cats can have. That being said, I am still in the testing phase of this, so anything about the genes may change. If you have any ideas for different traits my cats could get, feel free to let me know. I'm always looking for more ways to add variety to the clans. Also, I have already played Year 3 in most of the clans, and oh boy are we in for it. Hopefully I'll get Year 3 out faster than this one did. Artfight really slowed me down this year, although I had a blast taking part in it. All that being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next year of CloverClan.